Hey everyone, I'm Easton Cook, and in the Bible, Jesus is teaching about commitments and promises. He says that in the old days, all you had to do was swear to God, and then you just did what you swore to do, and it was that simple. And while he's teaching this, he says now, don't swear at all. Don't swear to God, don't swear on your health, your body, your family, your stuff. Just let your yes be yes and your no be no. Now, hearing that when I was growing up, I used to think that meant you cannot make a promise, you cannot make a commitment. But as I get older and I think about it, I don't think that's what he's saying. Jesus isn't saying don't make a promise or don't make an oath. He's saying that your character should be so in line with God's that when you say yes, people know this means yes, no promise needed. And when you say no, it simply just means no, not gonna happen. There is no room for doubt because of who you are and what you stand for. Now, when I was growing up, I was taught promises are unbreakable. For example, when I was younger, my dad would come home and I had a massive sweet tooth. I loved sweets and I still do. I'm trying to kind of keep away from that now. But I had a massive sweet tooth and my dad would come home and he'd say, Easton, did you have ice cream today? And I'd say, no. But here's the thing. I did. So I was lying. And he would say, okay, do you promise you didn't have ice cream? That was my kryptonite. I was like, oh, yes, I had ice cream. And then I'd get in trouble because I lied. But I used to think that anything you said before that, do you promise, was actually fair game. And it wasn't even a lie. It was just like, well, I can kind of say whatever I want. And then if you ask me if I promise, then I'll tell the truth. And that was so far off, so wrong. This is just how young Easton perceived that message. But when I think about this lesson that Jesus teaches, I'm like, well, what if we did? What if we lived in such a way that when we said yes or no, people believed us based on who we were, not the words we say? I think that's what Jesus was saying. I don't think it's about words. I don't think it's about not hurting other people's feelings so we give these little gray area answers. It's about simply holding true to what we say, committing and then committing to that commitment. For example, have you ever had that friend, right? That friend that you make plans with at the end of the week or in a couple days, and you just know in the back of your mind they're gonna bail. But you're excited for the plans. You're like, I can't wait to do this. And you're like, just please don't bail. And then the day before or even hours before, you know how some people are, they're like, hey, I can't make it. And you're so let down, but also you kind of saw it coming. And then to make matters worse, we have social media these days and you happen to see on their story or whatever that they actually went to do something else as if they were holding on to their yes in case something else better came along and then they were just gonna brush you aside. It really devalues you. Or have you ever been that person? A friend asks you, hey, let's hang out this weekend. You down? And you're like, oh yeah, I'm down. Who's all going? As if that matters, as if the value of the person that asked you wasn't enough. And then you give that little gray area response. You're like, hey, I'll let you know. And then you kind of wait until the day before or whatever. And you're like, hey, if it's still open, I'm down, I'll be there because nothing better came along, nothing better. Jesus is saying, live a life that if someone asks you to do something, think through it. If you want to go, say yes. If someone says, hey, can you help me with the job? If you can do it and you will do it, say yes. And then don't change it last minute just because you don't feel like going. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Commitment, it's crazy. How about in relationships? Girls, have you ever been talking to a guy for weeks or months where you guys are basically dating and yet he refuses to put a title on it? And then makes you feel crazy when you say, hey, why aren't we like boyfriend and girlfriend yet? And then you get reasons from him, more like excuses, where he says things like, why put a label on it? We're basically dating. Why would we ruin a good thing we have going? I'm getting there. You know my past. I just want to take it slow. You're worth the wait. I just don't want to mess anything up. While I understand that there are special circumstances where these kind of answers might make sense, and you may justify it by being like, well, that's my circumstance. Truthfully, a lot of these reasons, these excuses, translate to, I just don't want to commit to you. Commitment seems to be so lost these days. They only seem to spring up in those rare moments when we happen to see that 90-year-old couple celebrating 70 years together. And we think, oh, that's so sweet. But we feel like it's unattainable. For me, I'm committing to my YouTube career. I started it years ago and then slowly gave up as I went on. I totally broke the commitment. And now I invested in the mic. I invested in the camera, the lighting. I'm doing what I need to keep the commitment to myself to really keep this YouTube channel going and to produce the content that I want to produce. So now I'm here, I'm back, I'm committed. And so now, hear me out, I want to challenge you. This next week, only say yes if you're truly gonna do it. And think through it. If you're not gonna do it and you don't want to do it, don't give this, yeah, maybe. No, if you really don't want to, simply say no. For example, if someone asks you to hang out or to maybe even get some work done on a project, if you can and if you want to, say yes. And that means when you say yes, you say, I will be there. No promise or guarantee needed. I'll be there. You can count on it. And if you don't want to go, if you don't want to be there, you can say no. Did you know you don't even need to give an excuse? There's no reason to. If they ask you, you're welcome to give one, but you don't have to give an excuse right off the bat, or a reason, if you will. You can just say no. The point of this is this week, just keep your commitments. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Last little example here. Have you ever seen that movie Yes Man? Well, spoilers, because I'm about to go through it. Not that there's like a lot to spoil, but the whole basis is that this guy says no to everything. Therefore, he says no to life. He goes to a seminar, and the guy, the speaker, challenges him and says, "Hey, you have to say yes to everything. Everything, every opportunity that comes your way." And what this does is it opens him up to the concept of yes. Saying yes because he wants to, not because he has to. Even though he has to in the beginning, he starts by just saying yes to literally everything. He learns that, you know what? If I really want to, I'll say yes. And if I don't, I'll say no. And that's the point. This challenge is similar. Just taking some wisdom from the Bible and Jesus' teaching and saying, let your yes be yes and your no be no. No more gray area answers. And a quick note. When I say keep your commitments, I don't mean just to other people. Keep your commitments to yourself. Stop letting yourself down. Own up when you fail. Also, when you break those commitments, own it up. All right, that's integrity. Take it on. Say, I messed up. And don't commit to anything that you cannot keep. For example, if you normally get up at 9 a.m. and you're like, all right, tomorrow I'm getting up at 4 a.m. I'm doing the whole rock schedule. I'm literally going to get up, cardio, all this different. If you normally get up at 9 a.m., don't set yourself up for failure by saying I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. Maybe start with 7. Start out small. That's totally fine. Or cutting out sugar entirely on the spot. No more sugar. I'm done with sugar. Well, if you normally eat sugar, then cutting it out on the spot, you're just going to set yourself up to fail. I've tried this a million times, and I fail every single time. I had to finally start weaning myself off. I had to stop buying sugar products. So start off small. And I'm committing to doing the same thing. I would never challenge anyone to do something I wouldn't do myself. And lastly, commit to liking this video. Y'all, thanks for watching. Connect with me on the socials. They're all in the description. Like I mentioned before, I'm taking these YouTube seriously. So I got the mic, the camera, the lighting. I have all the links in the description on what I use. If you're wanting to start your own, these are great products to try it out. And I use an iPad Pro with an M1 chip to edit everything. Video on that coming out later. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Take care.